the founder of Cosmic Clarity Lab, and today I'm going to talk about a few things. But first, I want you to understand, like, what is it that I do out here, okay? So I work with business owners who have ideas. Many of us have ideas, but a lot of them feel stuck deciding what to focus on, where to move, why things are unclear, so on and so forth. So I help them by using astrology as a practical framework for us to navigate these decision points and to hopefully make clearer choices. So that's what we're about to today. Today, I am going to bring you some cosmic clarity updates for your business based on what's happening in the cosmos. So let's take a look. So in this big diagram that you see here next to me, this is the current, let me put this myself over here. This is the current chart of the moment. And this has been going on for several days now. And what is it? Okay, well, you're probably like, what is that diagram? I don't know what that is, man. All right, so let me show you. So at the very top of the chart, you're going to see this green area right up here where my marker is floating. This is Aquarius. And when we are looking at transits, one of the first things that we are looking to understand is the sun, because the sun is the core vitality of life. And we know when things are theirs, we should pay attention to. And that's what we do each season. We go back and look at what's happening with the sun. So the sun is now at 2 degrees of Aquarius. It just entered Aquarius a day or so ago. And if you notice, there's a lot of other little things sharing the same sign. And that would be Pluto, that big dude there with the big arm saying, yo. And then the other guy with the little antennas being like, hi, I'm Mercury. And then the one next to that is Venus. And then on the other side, if you notice, we have Mars sitting at the 29th degree of Capricorn. Mars loves to be in Capricorn, but all of this activity that has happened here is all Saturnian. We just had a big pileup, meaning multiple planets in one sign, but it was happening in Capricorn. Now we have that happening in Aquarius. And as this happens over the 30 days, you'll notice that these planets, the ones that move faster, will move into Pisces and then into Aries and so on. And we'll get to that. We're not there yet, friends. Let's just focus on the now. So between now until about the 28th, we're going to be experiencing a Plutonian transit. And what does that mean for your business? Well, Pluto is all about rebirth, power, regeneration, and it's not something that is done in a small manner. Everything that Pluto does is in magnitudes, okay? While Jupiter is big, expansive energy, Pluto is like, got that in 10 times magnitude. So when planets join it, things get even bigger in themes, okay? It brings on this intensity with the subjects that it touches, okay? So let's talk about that. All right, because I want to make sure you understand, like, if things are feeling weird, why this may be. So as we're moving into this, what I call this heavy Aquarius, like liberation, structural, technology forward time, we're going to look at these planets individual because each of these has already either passed or coming up. So if you notice, Mercury and also Venus have already passed Pluto, but they're still pretty close in conjunction with it, meaning they're still very close that we are feeling that energy, and the same with the Sun, and then soon Mars. So this is all an Aquarian themed time. And so Aquarius likes change. So what does all this mean? All right. So I mentioned Pluto, and I mentioned, let's talk a little bit more about Pluto. So when things go over Pluto, we're going to get in this intense cycle of revision of things, okay? Or rebirth of things, or magnetizing towards things that are needs to be happening at this time. So whatever you decide now really has a much longer tail than usual because Pluto's energy is so deep and intensive. It helps us to really cleanse things, okay? Think about it in your business, like your mindset, right? Mercury, your relationships, Venus. Sun, you. How are you showing up as a leader in the collective, Aquarius? And then Mars will come in and will give us a pump of drive to go forth on those dreams that you're currently thinking about. Okay? So, how do we navigate this without, spitting out and being like, I don't know what to do? So, we're going to break it down planet by planet, all right? So, then, and before we get there, I want to first cover what does Aquarius mean in this space for you. Okay. So Aquarius, this is the sign. So this the planets are expressing themselves. This is how they're expressing themselves. Aquarius governs the external structures of how you operate, okay? The ones that you operate within. And so that could be your platforms, your CRM, your email, your community platform. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, these are your platforms, your networks, your community, your technology, everything that you need to build your business systems. All right, that is Aquarius. And so, for those of you running solo businesses, this is a very important time because now you have the support to focus on these things for the next several days. And, it's not total loss. Like, once the energies are subdued, we still have Mars. So, Mars takes much longer to go through a sign than some of the other planets, such as the Mercury and um, Venus. So for you in your business, this is going to show up in the way how you're showing up with your audience. How are the community, right? Your participation within the larger community. How do you show up? What is your offer structure? What is your pricing? What is your visibility plan? What value actually moves through your work? This is all the Venus and the Mercury and the Sun, right? You're being seen. How do you relate? What do you value? What are all the systems and everything to do with these subjects? And so good old Pluto keeps helps by locking in that direction, but it doesn't do ambiguity well. It wants you to be very clear on what you want to define. Aquarius is a fixed sign. It's not one to like really deviate much. So this is something that we're going to be setting in place for ourselves. So if something in your business is unclear, misaligned, or you've just been kind of winging it, now's the time to start putting in the structure. Yes, we could have done that in Capricorn time, but that's okay because Aquarius, as I mentioned before, and sorry, this is like vibing, making noise. Aquarius, as I mentioned before, rules structure and systems and communities and many other technology and many other things. So we're not totally past the help of Saturn, who helps us really get things done. So now is the time for you to put in that Aquarian work. If you've been slacking, if you haven't put any sort of systems in place for your business, if you haven't participated in a community and you have like as a goal, you need to go out and do that. All right. So Pluto and Mercury haven't met together because that has passed already. This is that decision making that we're running under right now. Okay. This is still happening. Okay. Just because Mercury is like one, it's actually at exact. We're having this exact moment right now. This is going to expose any weak decision frameworks for you. I don't want you to start like freaking out like you don't have enough information because that's not true. It's right now you need to start moving towards finding a solution towards a structural problem. Stop searching for more information and start moving into action. So if you're finding yourself revising and revisiting the same thing over and over and over, rehashing your pitch over and over and over, waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay to decide, I want you to think of this question. Ready? This is just one question that we're going to think about. If whatever you're trying to decide is scaled, right, beyond what you currently have, more clients, more visibility, more demand for you, would it strengthen the business or strain it? If it strengthens it, then awesome. If it strains it, then there's work to be done. That's where you need to go in and figure out. And if you have any like, you're like, I don't know, Carolina, what this is, be sure to grab my freebies, because I help people with figuring out these some of these questions, and I also have a membership that can help you with this. But just look to see where Aquarius sits in your chart. If it's the seventh house, and this is about your one-on-one relationships, for example. Again, if whatever you're trying to decide is strains your business, then it's not viable long term. Avi, right? And so even if it feels good or easy in the short term, you might want to make a change. Now, how about the Sun Pluto stuff? So Sun is about to go over Pluto. All right. So with the Sun moving over Pluto, now we're talking about your leadership. And for you as a solopreneur, it often shows up as role misalignment. Perhaps this is what Pluto is going to expose. Okay. It may bring up some of that self-doubt, but it's a time for us to clear it, because Pluto works at a very deep, deep, deep level. So this is a time to rewire our minds. Also a very Aquarian thing. So if you're acting as the operator, when your business should really be acting like a strategy, all right? You're not just driving it. You are the strategist for your business. And if you're not communicating enough, then you might want to rethink what's happening here, right? So there's a balance between over communicating to try to establish legitimacy, because you're feeling like I don't have anything there. And then there's the other flip side also, where you're not doing anything because you're not really comfortable owning that light. The opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo, and Leo loves to shine. Okay, so if this is really hard for you, then I want you to think about how you can start being the awesome Leo queen that you are. All right, so if you're still showing up in spaces that don't match where you're actually at with your mind, with your business, then you need to move on. All right, so sometimes occupying your actual authority looks different, right? It will be in this time frame, it's going to look like fewer explanations, fewer commitments. Maybe you're like, nope, done with that, or stepping out of a role without immediately replacing it. Just because you don't do something any longer doesn't mean that that space needs to be refilled, especially if you're trying to open up yourself to more mystery, to more chances, to more spontaneity. So, yeah, and I know that can feel uncomfortable, friend, but that's the whole point, of when we're facing some of this stuff, especially if you have a lot of Aquarius placements, like your sun, moon, rising, or if this is your 10th house, or if this is your first and seventh. Like, these are big transits for you for this time. In fact, all from here on out. All right. So let me make this clear. From now until 2044, all Aquarius transits will be in some shape or form a Plutonian intense, because Pluto is going to be in that sign for that long. And so as the planets come through it each year, because Venus, Mercury, the Sun, Mars does it in about two years, as they do this, we have an opportunity to reset this conversation about ourselves, reset this area about our business, whether that's the pricing, our community stand, our relationship with our customers one-on-one, or how your business as a whole, like your legacy. Maybe you're completely rebuilding it with Pluto sitting there at the top right now. Okay. So then Pluto and good old Venus. So they're now 3 degrees apart. And this is a renewal of anything to do with Venus. So it also creates a lot of magnetism and intense magnetisms, all to do with Venus, values, money, your relationships. So look, track over the last few days how these things have been operating in your business. Have you been pulling in really powerful people into your sphere? Or are your offers like doing really excellent within your community? Aquarius, Venus, Pluto, intensity. All right. So Venus is about value and exchange, and Pluto will also sadly expose imbalances, all right, because Pluto helps us to shed shadow and empower us also. Pluto can be used in can be seen in multiple ways out in the collective. You could see it as people dominating others, societies, dominating others. It could be mass amounts of wealth within corporations. It could be the technocrats out there, but it could also be liberation for us, Pluto and Aquarius, for all of us to gain authority in our lives to be the great change makers that we want to be. All right. So I want you to think about overall, all right, when it comes to this whole Venusian area about values, offers, what do I charge? All right. I want you to start thinking about that area and pay attention to where you're being compensated, but it doesn't match the responsibility that you're giving out there. Okay. Or that you're carrying with you. I want you to think about the emotional labor that's not being acknowledged in the relationships. Perhaps these relationships coaching, okay? Are you taking on more than you should in your coaching? Then you need to put boundaries. Boundaries are good. Is it a financial structure that is creating quiet resentment for you where you're like, ugh, I hate this structure. I hate doing this. Why am I doing this? I guess I'll do it again. Then you need to change it. So, that feeling, why do I feel weird about this? Whatever that feeling is right now with regards to values and money and relationships, it is a wake up call from from Pluto for a redo, for a regeneration, for scrapping and removing all that shadow and starting afresh. Okay, because it's a conjunction, it's a rebirth. So I don't want you to burn everything down. If you do, pull some cards and see. I just want you to be discerning on what you want here in all of this. All right. One tiny change is enough. And one boundary client in a client relationship would be good. One pricing correction that you've been waiting on. One collaboration that you're looking to release or redefine. These all things could happen for you at this time. That's it. And then Mars, well, then Mars happen relatively soon. And so when Mars starts to approach and has already kicked up this energy of drive, all right, intensive drive, because Mars doesn't do anything like without intensity. Okay, it's a planet of severity, of cutting, of removal, and of moving forward. So what you're going to be watching out for here is force without your strategy. You want to watch out for reactive decisions, public declarations because you're frustrated. I hear you, man. We're all frustrated, but if you're just venting, no one's going to respond, especially if it's your customers. Okay? Ultimatums that actually close more doors than they open, that's a real thing that you need to think about when you're out there. So what works better is controlled action at this time for us to be mature and think about before reacting. Exiting situations without making it a whole thing is a thing. Like, you don't have to leave your stamp everywhere you are. Redirecting your energy is an important and vital thing that you can do instead of like, I don't know, I'm going to just confront this head on every single battle, every single time. And then you wonder why you're exhausted. I don't know. I don't know if that's me or not, but so stop acting without needing everyone to validate everything immediately, please, And yeah, your next thing is to take action that doesn't require a ton of explanation or justification. Just slow it down, all right? Just slow it down. So how are we going to work with all of this? Well, I think I've given you several tips, but again, grab my freebies, get on my email list because I offer more in there as well. And I have an upcoming summit that we'll be covering more of, cosmic timing. And that will be opening up my new community over in school. So grab that there. It's also free. So how do we work with this? Do not continue supporting whatever system, right? Aquarius system, future, technologies, your CRMs, your emails, your collaborations with humans, all those things. Do not continue, don't continue supporting that. Leave that behind, because if they're not going to be able to allow you to operate within in the way that you need to, they're not meant for you. So I want you to focus on one thing moving forward. What is the one boundary that needs clarity, that needs to be done? Whatever decision that you're looming on, move forward. Is there a role that you're done playing? Make that cut. Move on to the next. Are there people that you no longer care about hanging out with? Remove them from your networking. Is there a new collaboration group that you should meet? Hi, how about me? Right? So think about what of these things that I just covered that can help you move the needle for the next several, days and on, because these energies are going to stick around a little bit longer as the sun and Mars continue going through Aquarius. It's not like, they pass over Pluto and we're like, oh, we're done. No, it's still lingering there for a little while longer. And then those lessons will become part of what we're doing in our business. All right, so one choice, that's all you need to do, because you want to have bigger impact with less, all right? So instead of several half-made decisions, just make the one decision. Pluto's whole function is structural correction while it's in Aquarius, all right? It helps to remove what no longer holds the weight in your business so that what does can carry more. So what really matters to you can stick around and really support you. Okay, friends, so that was the cosmic window here, roughly through the 28th. I want you to think this week really rewards you to have more clarity, restraint, and long-term thinking. And if you want support learning how to make decisions this way more calmly and strategically without second guessing yourself into oblivion, that's exactly the kind of work that we do in the Cosmic Clarity Lab. And I'll drop a link in the description if you'd like to check it out. Otherwise, take this week as a calibration point. Understand where Aquarius sits in your chart and focus on that area for your business. Choose one adjustment, one change, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friend. Take care.